Well, good afternoon, 7K leaders, and that's what you are, 7K leaders. And I say afternoon because some of us are way over in Hawaii, and it's afternoon for you. And some of us are, it's in the evening. But every Thursday evening, I'm going to do a training for leaders, coppers and above. You can have other people here, but we're going to want them to learn from the leaders. Tonight, in the leadership training, the reason I'm doing this is to set you up that all the leaders will be doing their own trainings for their groups and smaller groups, because it's much better. You're going to have my video library to everybody can learn from on their own time and their own ways, but the actual business building and team building needs to happen at the team level, and you need to have that team leadership. We had a meeting once a week in Baton Rouge. We always have a meeting, and it's very good to have a meeting, even if you do just Zoom meetings. Sometimes you can't have a physical meeting. Maybe you have to have a meeting, but you need to actually meet once a week at a minimum. And so that's part of what I'm doing here with leadership training. And the reason I'm doing this is because in this next 2-year period, you're about to experience what you call real momentum growth in a networking company. Typically, it starts happening somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 members. If you've got good 20+% growth per quarter going on, and every company in history that hit those marks went through what I call a momentum growth curve. Some of you can visit a training that I've done. It's called Get Your MBA program, and where I give the life cycle of growth of a company. It doesn't matter if it's a regular company or a networking company, or a Fortune 500 company. They all have life cycles. They all start from basically zero, and very little sales, very little participation, employees, or another way to call it. But that is how all companies start. Doesn't matter if it's networking or if it's a traditional company. Then it goes through its formulation period. Sometimes that is as long as 7 to 10 years. And in that formulation period, that is when they're training employees, they're building up their logistical system, their supply system, and their sales force or their marketing force, and or their customer base. Well, in a networking business, that you have that same foundation period. And many network marketing companies start in a basement or a back room. The vast majority of network marketing companies start that way. And I'm talking about more than 85% of them. And even the billion-dollar companies that are here today started that way. Many people, I know Nu Skin's history extremely well. So I can just tell you that started in a basement room. And today it is a $2.8 billion company, and it dominates their sector in the personal care industry. So pretty strong company. And it started with people just formulating a product in a little bottle and passing it around to friends and using it. And then they created a comp plan. They changed their comp plan 12 times in their first 2 years. But that's that formulation period. And most companies never make it out of that in direct selling. Most of them never make past year 1, let alone 3 years. Now, the companies that survive 5 years and have a foundation, they tend to go on for a long time. Now, do they become a billion-dollar company? Not all of them do. So let's kind of look just real briefly at 7K. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is you've got to share this with the people you want to lock arms with you, because they got to know that they're not just getting in another company that, oh, maybe in a year or two, and they're not going to be around. Well, we're way beyond that point in 7K right now. And understanding these basics is what you as leaders need to do to communicate that to your team, to your new people, and to your leaders. And in this business, you really only need to have one leader on your left and one leader on your right that you truly team up with. You're better off if you've got 2 that you truly team up with on your left and your right. But all you really need to make that 12.5 a week is 2. You'll find another one, because you got to have that silver if you're going to make that 12.5 a week. So, but if you're going to get to goal, you'll be able to get to your executive goal and your presidential goal. It's just a matter of when. And you have that greatest chance during what I call that momentum growth curve. Okay, foundational period. Typically, you still got slow growth, it's done, and then you start moving into what you call that rapid growth or momentum growth curve, if you ever hit it. Some companies' momentum growth curve only lasts for 6 months, some 18 months, some last for 3 to 15 years. Oh, yeah, I said it right, 15 years. Well, see, we've been what most people call in momentum growth in this industry, because our sales more than double each year, more than double each year. The growth of the company is more than double each year in the last 2 years. Well, that is momentum growth by any standard. But what's going to happen is, because we're only in, we're still the United States, just opening in some of the other countries. We really haven't even really opened there. We're just legal, and we're just there in presence, but we're not there yet. If you'll look at Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland, Singapore, and Canada being the oldest out of our countries, and we're still not open in all of Canada yet, not until we get everything transcribed in French to open up in the Quebec province, and that's the largest province in Canada. And when we do, then you open fully in Canada. But if you look at where the concentration of growth in the 7K was, it was in Idaho and Montana and Wyoming. Yeah, Bob and George, I was down here in Louisiana, and I kind of spread it out amongst us here in the South and Southwest and Southeast, and Texas and Arkansas and Missouri. But the vast majority, more than 95% of the business in 7K in the first year was Idaho and Montana and Wyoming. I mean, we had members elsewhere, but that's where the business was. That's where the leaders were. Okay. And my business was down here And we developed our business outside of that because I didn't have anyone in Montana and Idaho. I mean, I really didn't go up there to prospect people in that territory because it was very hard for me to support them the way I built. Now, it's very important to understand this next point, the way I build and the way I teach. Even if you have leads and people have leads and there are going to be groups that come in have wider circle of influence. The way we teach is to build off your circle of influence. Well, some people have a lot bigger circle of influence than other people. And that's good. They're going to grow faster. But that's good for them, and it's good for you, and it's good for the company. It's good for all of us because that's how we become a household word. Okay. So if we're doing it right and we're just not doing internet marketing and people just join in because they clicked on a button, and so we're doing it right, we have personal contact, we have personal interaction, we have personal discussion, we have personal training, we have personal development. Well, that's doing it right. But a PSI group is doing it right. Okay, they're not just a click-through group, and they're doing it right, and they're developing people and developing leaders, and their leaders are also developing other people and developing other leaders and seeing and giving vision. Well, that's what we all do. Now, those of us that build kind of the way I do, how do I do it? Now, I want everyone to listen carefully for this, because even if you have leads that are provided for you in a lead generation system, you're still going to need to build it this way. I've never used a lead generation system. I just don't think that they're economical. I've never seen one that paid off for anyone. But, and I don't think you need one. I think you can learn how to do it the right way without lead generation. Okay. Now, if you, and I'm gonna address this point real quick. PSI is not lead generation. PSI is from circle of influence. Bill Godlewski has his circle of influence. He just shares his circle of influence with those that he cares about and helps them care with others. And so that's the same process. He just has a large circle of influence. Okay. If I had a large circle of influence, I'd share more with mine, but I don't. I have a circle of influence, and each of us have a circle of influence. So this is the point I want you to listen to very carefully. When you sign in, and if you haven't done this, then do it. When you sign in, you write down your top 25 people you want in your business, people that know you and you know them, and you want them in your business, because they'll never get off your list. I don't care if all 25 of them tell you no the first time, and the next year they tell you no, and the next year they tell you no. They're never off your list. They always stay on your list. And you're going to always follow up with them, because that's the 7. You go back to them 7 times. And each time you're going back to them, with more information, more meat, and more credibility. Every time you go back to them, doesn't matter where you're at in the business, as long as you're in the business. See, if you're not in the business, then they were right to tell you no. If you're not in the business, they were exactly right to tell you no the first time. Then we'll get them, because you gave up. Because we don't give up. Those of us that understand this, do not give up. Do not quit. You might get frustrated, but you don't give up. You don't quit. That's the key to success. Successful people never quit. Winners never quit. If you quit, you can't be a winner. Okay, you leapfrog. Now, a lot of people heard me say that, but I'm going to make sure y'all clearly understand what I mean by that. When I sponsored 2 people on my left, older than me. And I sponsored 4 people on my right as I was driving home from that meeting Friday night at George's house. I helped them with their people they knew because I was a better closer than them. I was a better explainer than them. They just had to give the information. We get on the phone, we do a 3-way, and we'd close. That's me helping them. And that's you helping. That's what a leader does. That's what you leaders need to do with the people you personally sponsor. Now, listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Leapfrog. Since I helped them sponsor those people, they knew me too. So I picked. I didn't let them pick, I picked. Because if I help a person on my left make a $500 check, I help a person on my right make a $500 check, everybody knows what I'm going to make, right? I'm going to make a $1,000 check, right? Exactly. Because they made a 500, they had to have 500 on the left, 500 on the right to make 1,000 points. That came up on my left side. Help a person over here make a $500 check. They had a 500 point and 500 point, made 1,000 point, came up on my right side. I made $1,000. So you help a person make that money, you're going to be rewarded even more than you expect. So since I help them with their people on their left and right to get their 500 points, I know who those people are. And I pick who I think is the best one to leapfrog over the person I sponsor, go down to that person, because if they're not putting people in out of their top 25 that next week, real quick, one on their left and one on their right, they should be putting one on their left, one on their right within 3 days after they're in the business. If they're not, they don't understand it as well. So they're going to need some help. So I leapfrog over. Of course, I'm working on my list still at the same time, but I leapfrog over and I help them. And I say, hey, share with me your top 25, like I did with George. Now, let's go to work. Let's get one on your left, one on your right, real quick. Let me show you how it's done. And then once you learn how to do that, then you can help them to do the same thing. I leapfrog over. Well, if I help their person make a $500 check, I don't have to worry about anything else. That's 1,000 points coming up. I do the same thing on my right. That's 1,000 points coming. I made another $1,000, and I helped 2 new people make a $500 check. So if anybody else did anything, well, then I can make a $2,000 check. Y'all get the process. So it's how rapidly you do this. So I'm going to use Wayne Clark. We did the same thing with Wayne Clark, except Wayne Clark put me on every 3-way and he contacted 30 people a day. Okay, your first contact is 30 people to prospect their interest. So you got one of 30 scripts that I can give you. I don't care which one you use, they all work. Now, Wayne liked the one that, hey, Jack, man, I got a video. I just fell into it, man. I got a way to us make a ton of money. I'm going to throw you a 15-minute video. I want you to watch that. I'm going to call you back in 30 minutes and let's talk. He called him back in 30 minutes. He just did what I said, or an hour. And he said, what you like best about that video you saw? That's what I teach you. What you like best about that video you just saw? Well, if it's one of those pyramid deals. You say, Ben, you don't understand. I'm sorry you don't see what I see. Ben, I'm in this thing. I'll talk to you later. You don't catch it. Bye. Bingo. You're not calling to visit. You're not calling to have a pleasant conversation. You're in business. And so you do the right things in the conversation. Hey, look, Jack, I only have a minute, but look, you excuse yourself. That's in the training, by the way. And it's in 7Ks training, basic training. And so once you do that, then you've got more follow-up because people who ask questions are interested. Now, people, as long as they ask questions, they're interested. We're going to feed them information. or we're going to put them on a three-way with your leader. And you don't put them all on the phone with me. See, you want to use a step 1, 2, 3. And that's what we eventually got to with Wayne. Once we developed leaders, and then Wayne was in this process with his leaders. They only used me for big hitters, that people who they're really trying to get in, or if they couldn't make that connection, you know. But leapfrogging is what I see as not being duplicated enough in the total organization. And that's where you really build, and you really build fast. Those of you that have good leadership skills, have good closing skills, have good discussion skills, have good vision throwing skills, where you can plan a vision, where you can plant information into people's imagery of how this business can grow for them. Those people that have those skills already, remember, it's skills, attitudes, and technique. Those people have those skills already are the ones that's going to be able to leapfrog more efficiently and more effectively in your group, in your team. Now, if you can't do that, work up. Get an upline leader that can do that. That's one, because they need to see volume in your group. Now, this is how you build organically. So this applies to all of PSI group too, or any other group, because you not only need to build organically to have your long-term committed business where people see what you see, and they're not just earning checks, they're actually helping people change their lives financially and helping others change their lives, as we're all learning how to protect our wealth and accumulate wealth. So let's get back to the other point, why I'm doing this for you. Once you get in this momentum curve, and I project that 7K will have a 15-year momentum curve. Because see, every time they open a different country, that's going to be like a whole new swing of momentum. And I believe that you're not completely open in the 50 states of the United States. You're not completely open until you have at least a goal in every state. And we're so far away from that. We're nowhere near that, okay? But really what you need is a gold or higher in every major city of the United States. Then we have a presence in the marketplace. So that's how much growth this company has yet to do just here in the United States, because there is no compensation plan that can touch this compensation plan. Let me illustrate. What do you have to have? With every network marketing company, what do you have to do? You have to buy a minimum amount of product per month to stay active, to qualify to make a check. And any other company, you're going to have not only your personal volume, but you're going to have a group volume. And then you're only paid so many levels. That's why they call it multi-level. Okay. Well, we're not multi-level. I'm sorry, we're not. We have infinity on the left and infinity on the right. So we can't be multi-level. Okay. But what we can do is this. And I'm going to give you the comparison that you need to learn and be able to share very well with anyone in any other networking company. What's it take to make $500 a week? It takes you to sponsor one on your left, one on your right that is active. What is active? They're buying a product, an autosaver, once a month. They stay active. What do you have to do in any other company? They have to buy product every month, normally about $120 worth of consumption product. And by the way, they normally can't use that every month. They have to buy more than what they can physically use, so they end up filling up the closet with it. okay? Or they can't, or they try to sell it at a garage sale, or they use it first as samples, but then they get so much of it, they try to sell it in a garage sale, and then they can't even get pennies on the dollar. And then they just denigrated their business, okay, when they try to do that. And they're trying to get people in their business, and they're trying to sell their products in the garage sale. Got to be kidding me, okay? And so what do you have to do? You have to buy product, so they're $120. But they can't just sponsor one on their left and one on their right and buy a product and them make money. They have to go wide. They have to have group volumes, and they have to have so many people qualify at that level. No, even to make a $500 check every week. Let me tell you what this is. You buy a $105 product, a product of value. I don't care if it's 105, 150. I don't care which one of it is. Any autosave. I don't care if it's the gold notes. I don't care if it's the Eagle or whatever it is. But you're buying a product of value. It has no shelf life. So it already has value. Already has value. Now we have proven value. But here's the key. You buy $105 a month to stay active. You got one on your left and one on your right. So when your team grows, left team and right team grows to about 100 people, and you only had to sponsor one on your left and one on your right, if they're doing 20 points on average a month per person in that group, that's 20 times 100, that's 2,000 points on that left team. And that's 2,000 points on that right team, divide by 4, that's about 500 on average points a week. That'll be $500 every week. There's no other company in the industry that you can even do that with, that you sponsor just one person on, you sponsor 2 people, they buy their product and you buy your product every month. And if their group turns out to be 100 people in it, that you can make a $500 check. No company in the industry. So if you're going to do network marketing, you may as well do this one and get product of value. It's the highest paying comp plan that exists with the least requirements to earn a check. And so all you have to do is tell people what they have to do is learn how to do it. They've got to have the patience. They got to have the perseverance. They have to have the persistence. They have to have the skills and attitude, and they're going to have to learn them. But we learn together as a team. That's what you need to teach to every person in your group, even if you have to do it one-on-one, going down through your group. Maybe you didn't sponsor any of them, but if you want them to get your help, they've got to understand that point and make a commitment for 2 years, buying their product for 2 years. So those of you that communicate this, you're going to have people you're not going to have to worry about. You're losing your rank because somebody turned off their autosaver. That's the key. That's the real key. Is you learn to communicate, you learn who your group is, and you learn how, when you use the onboarding system that I teach you, there's methods in there that there's a reason that we have them go into profile and check to display their name, their phone number, and their email address at their website. Because see, if you've done that, I can contact them, or your leaders can contact them. If we can't contact them, we can't communicate with them, and you can't either. Okay. So everything in this training program from A to Z that I give you, there's a method of the madness there. And it's real simple things. And the key is just do them. And if you do them and you follow the recipe, the cake turns out right every time. Sometimes it takes longer for some people. Sometimes it takes a lot shorter time, but it doesn't matter. It turns out the same. And it's like the laws of the exponential expansion. You know, you go get 2, and if everybody else is only half as good as you, the next period you got 4 in your group, and the next period you got 8 in your group. The next period you got 16, then 32, then 64, then 128. Y'all remember the exponential expansion? Well, see, you can do that. That's days, months, weeks, or years. And in 12 years, if you ended up with 4,000 people in your group, with 2,000 on the left and 2,000 on the right, if those 2,000 people on that left team are averaging 20 points a month, that's 40,000 points. That's 10,000 points a week. That's enough to make a $10,000 check every single week if you can rank yourself up to executive goal. Otherwise, you're going to make a $500 check every week for the rest of your life. That's pretty cool too, you know, not bad. Okay, so that's the main thing that I really wanted you to kind of the leaders, as we're setting up leader training here, and we're going to be going over many individual short subjects, and I hope you can share this with your leaders, even if this becomes your leadership training you're doing, until you can actually train it yourself. Thank you.